At 3:17 a.m., 7 people vanished from the same town. Not together, not from the same place. Different homes, different streets, different lives. One was brushing his teeth. One was folding laundry. One had just sat down on her bed. None of them were ever seen again. Police found no signs of struggle, no forced entry, no fingerprints that didn't belong. Their cars were still parked outside. Their phones were still charging. Their food was still warm. It was as if the town had inhaled and never exhaled. Investigators searched for a suspect. There wasn't one. They searched for evidence. There was none. And then someone noticed something far more disturbing. Every disappearance happened within the same 4-minute window, and every house went completely silent at the exact same second. No alarms, no calls, no movement, just absence. What happened at 3:17 a.m.? And why has the town refused to talk about it ever since? At 6:42 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, the town of Briar Hollow woke up exactly as it always had. Lights flicked on in kitchens. Cars warmed in driveways. A school bus hissed to a stop at the corner of Maple and 3rd. Nothing was wrong, which is why it took so long for anyone to realize that something had vanished. The first missing person. It started with Eleanor Pike. Eleanor was 72 years old, widowed, and predictable in a way only lifelong routines can be. Every morning at 6:30, she brewed tea. At 7 o'clock, she sat by the front window. At 7:15, she waved at the mail carrier, even when there was no mail. On that Tuesday, the tea kettle was still warm. The cups sat untouched on the table. The chair by the window was empty. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, no broken glass. Her purse, keys, coat, everything was exactly where it always was. Police initially assumed medical emergency, a fall, confusion, wandering. Search teams combed the nearby woods. They found nothing. Then it happened again. 3 days later, across town, a man named Lucas Harlan failed to arrive at work. Lucas was 34, healthy, reliable. He lived alone in a small apartment above a bakery. His car was still parked out back. His phone sat charging on the nightstand. His bed looked slept in. But Lucas was gone. No camera footage, no witnesses, no financial activity, no messages sent, no calls received. 2 disappearances, investigators said, were coincidence. They would stop using that word soon. The pattern, no one wanted to name. Within 6 weeks, 7 people vanished. Different ages, different backgrounds, different neighborhoods. No connection, except one. Every disappearance occurred between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. No alarms triggered. No neighbors heard anything. And every home was left unfinished. A half-written grocery list. A shower still warm. A TV paused mid-sentence. It was as if each person had simply stepped away for a moment and never returned. The town without evidence. State investigators were brought in. Then federal. They checked phone records, credit cards, cell towers, traffic cameras, satellites. Nothing. Not a single trace placed any missing person anywhere after the night they vanished. No vehicles, no bodies, no blood, no soil disturbance, no suspects. Briar Hollow became a town defined not by crime, but by absence. The tape, the only thing close to evidence, came from a single 911 call. A voicemail, actually, left at 3:17 a.m. by a woman named Maribel Ortiz, who disappeared that same night. The recording lasts 11 seconds. Most of it is silence. Then Maribel whispers, "Someone's here, but I don't think they're inside." She never finishes the sentence. There is no sound of a struggle, just quiet. The house that wouldn't empty. Police eventually noticed something strange. Every missing person's home felt occupied, not haunted, not damaged, occupied. Officers reported the sensation of being watched, of rooms feeling crowded despite being empty, of footsteps where no one stood. One officer resigned after claiming he heard breathing behind him while standing alone in Eleanor Pike's living room. Psychologists were brought in. They blamed stress. The houses were sealed. The feeling didn't leave. The 8th name, 8 months later. The case stalled completely. Then the lead investigator vanished. Detective Aaron Mills was last seen leaving the station at 2:58 a.m. He had been reviewing old reports, re-listening to the Ortiz voicemail. His car was found parked neatly in his driveway. His front door was unlocked. On his desk, a notebook lay open to a single sentence. There are no suspects because there was no entry. Aaron Mills was never seen again. The official conclusion. After 18 months, the case was quietly reclassified. No foul play suspected. No credible leads. No ongoing threat. The town of Briar Hollow was advised to resume normal activity. People tried, but no one stayed out late anymore. No one slept with doors open. And no one answered knocks between 3 o'clock and 6 a.m. The final detail. Years later, a researcher reviewing cold cases noticed something overlooked. Every missing person had reported the same thing in the weeks before disappearing. Not fear, not paranoia, but a feeling, the sensation that something had been standing just behind them, close enough to feel, but never close enough to see. Epilogue. Briar Hollow still exists. The houses remain standing. The missing were never found. And to this day, there are no suspects. Because whatever took them never broke in, never left footprints, never arrived. It was already there, waiting